Diva Salsabila. Now, I would like to discuss about social scientific article. Let's start. The title of that article is Indonesia World Bank Strike Deal on Emission Reduction. This article is talking about the Environment and Forestry Ministry and the World Bank signed a deal on Friday on Forest Carbon Partnership Facility, which provides an additional opportunity for the government to receive payment in exchange for reducing carbon emission. Under the agreement, Indonesia will eligible to receive up to $110 million for reducing carbon emission from deforestation and forest degradation until 2025. Indonesia to receive payment from Norway for forest conservation in August. The government announced that it was eligible to receive a grant of $103.8 million from the Green Climate Fund for reducing carbon emission under Red D Plus scheme. In last May, the government said that it would be receive $56 million from Norway, also under the Red D Plus scheme, but based on a bilateral agreement. From the article, Indonesia can reduce carbon emission from deforestation and forest degradation. What is deforestation and forest degradation? Deforestation is removal of forest from land which is the conform to an forest use. Deforestation can involve conservation of forest land to farm. The removal of trees without sufficient reforestation has resulted in habitat damage, biodiversity loss, and aridity. Deforestation also has adverse impact on biosequestration of atmospheric carbon dioxide, increasing negative feedback sequence contributing to global warming. Forest degradation is a process in which the biological wealth of a forest area is permanently diminished by some factor or by a combination of factors. This does not involve a reduction of the forest area, but rather a quality decrease in its condition. The forest is still there, but with fewer trees or less species of trees, plants, or animal, or some of them affected by plagues. From the article, I will discuss about first, emission carbon, second, biological aspect, third, physical aspect, and fourth, chemical aspect. Let's discuss it one by one. Emission carbon. Carbon dioxide is a compound that is closely related to industrial era. Since the industrial world started to grow in the last 115 years, emission carbon have increased repeatedly. Emission carbon are dominated by the burning of fossil fuels for energy production and industrial production of materials such as cement. In this discussion on climate change, we tend to focus on carbon dioxide, the most dominant greenhouse gas produced by burning of fossil fuels, industrial production. But carbon dioxide is not the only greenhouse gas that is driving global climate change. There are a number of other: methane, nitrous oxide, and trace gases such as the group of F gases, which have contributed a significant amount of warning to date. Biological aspect. There are some impact of emission carbon. They are rising sea levels, mosquitoes carrying malaria, increasing earth temperatures, changing seasonal and weather pattern, melting Arctic ice, and other. There is indeed carbon that is reabsorbed by plant, soil, and water, but the amount of carbon that is reabsorbed is still smaller than the carbon we emit into the atmosphere. Physical aspect. The higher carbon footprint index value that we produce, meaning the higher concentration of greenhouse gases in our atmosphere. The higher concentration of greenhouse gases will cause the air temperature to increase and ultimately lead to climate change. Let's look at how the planet has warmed. We see that over the last few decades, global temperatures have risen sharply to approximately 0.7 degrees Celsius, higher than our 1961 until 1990 baseline. We extended back to 1850. We see that temperature then we are a future of 0.4 degrees Celsius colder than they are in our baseline. Overall, this would amount to an average temperature rise of 1.1 degree Celsius. But overall, this temperature rise in the range of 1 to 1.2 degrees Celsius. We can conclude that greater value of the carbon emission index, the greater negative impact we have on the earth. Chemical aspect. Combustion is the opposite process of photosynthesis. Plants take carbon dioxide from the air and absorb sunlight energy to break down carbon dioxide into carbon and oxygen. Oxygen is used by almost all living things on Earth for breathing. Carbon and sunlight energy remain in plants' body as chemical energy, which can be utilized by the plants themselves. In other words, wood is basically a block of carbon which store a chemical energy. When you burn a stick of wood, what you are doing is reserving the photosynthesis process. Remember, burning something needs oxygen, right? So, if you burn wood, just add oxygen to glucose, and the reaction is same with photosynthesis. But the reaction is opposite with photosynthesis reaction. So, burning a stick of wood is the process of carbon in wood recombining with oxygen in the air and released as carbon dioxide. In the context of fossil fuels, it is important to remember that oil, coal, and natural gas all originate from animals and plants that lived millions of years ago. Living things are composed of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, just like the chemical reaction above. So, you could say burning fossil fuels is same with photosynthetic reaction, so that is produce more carbon dioxide. To make progress in reducing emission carbon, there are two fundamental areas we need to focus on. First, energy. It is include electricity, heat, transport, and industrial activity. And second, food and agriculture. That's all about my explanation. Thank you very much for your attention. Goodbye and good luck.